crack myself up. Hello, where's the camera? There's the camera. Speed talking to attempt to get this to 10 minutes and 10 to 15 minutes. I noticed you gave us that much time. Hold on, I have a timer. A little countdown. Okay, I'll have that in my eye line so I can speed up if need be. Trying to get a module worth of highlights and condense it down, and I find very, very challenging. Okay, talking of which, I had this idea that I'm going to put into practice next module, which is to record a video diary. Because when the things are happening in real time, they're big and huge and exciting or profound, and it fades a bit like a dream. And I love the idea of capturing the emotion I was feeling at the time, or revelation. So I'm going to do that. There'll be too much then at the end of the module plus the pause to just give you the lot. But I'll take some key points, some key parts of that and piece them together so you get this sort of more of a visual on the journey and the process. So I'm going to give that a go for module 3. We'll see how it works. Okay, no, where to start? I'm going to go for how hard August was, and fine and beautiful and lovely at the same time. The hard parts were the growth and the triggering, which I wasn't calling in my head triggering. Alluded to this in some of our live calls, but every day, one or more in a day, issue, chip on my shoulder, limiting belief, insecurity, you name it, was being activated. And that is how I saw it. I wasn't too conscious that this was going on initially until I realised the pattern. Like, this is now like 7 days on the trot where a whole new thing has been prodded and awakened, or, something I've forgotten has been, and it didn't stop all month. And like I say, it was between 1 and 4 things every day. Self-care was so important and pretty hard. There were times, I can have some really cool, easy times of my schedule. I had a cat sitting job, and, there are times I have just a space to myself and some quiet, but not always the case. And I'm with my uncle, who might walk in and interrupt this any moment, for example. And I have very little time to myself. Then there's added to that a lot of technical issues, and coincidentally they're at their worst when I'm doing something for the Priestess program. Now, considering I go to lots of different places, I'm the common denominator. I thought I'd killed my, well, not I had killed my phone, I thought my uncle's house had killed my phone, because when the shower bust, I came downstairs and my phone that had been on charge was dead to the world and wouldn't turn on. And I thought, that's it, fried. I learnt of a way you can force them on. You press and hold all the buttons for more than 10 seconds. It worked. The battery's shot, but everything's there and it's working fine. But, I spent a day thinking, my iPhone's blown. My laptop's network card or software keeps malfunctioning, so it thinks there's no internet there. And I can check this by looking at my iPhone and seeing, where the issue lies. Restarting quite often sorts it out. But that makes me nervous for live events. And today I finally have, because the last time I was going to do this was dead phone day. There was one thing after another. Times where the other day my uncle was going to be out, so it was going to be my day, that had been postponed 3 times. And that was called short and he was back within 20 minutes. It's just, happening. When it went down pretty badly, thanks to my, again, it's not always my phone or my computer, it'll be the house. I'm there at these different people's houses when their internet or their electricity decides to go belly up. What is that about me and my power? Connecting. I've not been very present in the Facebook group beyond my own posts, watching Vanessa's, and I'm not getting notifications when there's new things on there. So I go into the group and I'm very surprised. There's these posts I haven't seen. I'm making more time for that from tomorrow when my uncle's away. Today is, I'm recording this on the deadline day. I'm sliding in the deadline, like foot over the line, screeching. I'm just making it. So I've got the week before module proper starts, and I'm doing a lot of the sort of Facebook posts that have been juicy from the glimpses I've done, but I wanted to give them time. I didn't want to half-ass them. So I'm putting some time into that, which is time into me. I'm behind on my book of, for me, not for you, but on my book of illumination, which I want the highlights of the modules in. But I quite like that I have that, and I gave myself that task to do because it keeps, I'm quite liking keeping content alive for myself at different times, not just module 1 done, closed, module 2. Because of the weaving and the spiraling, as we know, it all interplays so beautifully. So, triggering. I'll give you an example. Please do not take this on. Don't feel bad, please. Don't want to scare you. We're saying that. I just don't want... Just remember this is about me, and there was a reason this happened, okay? And I understand that. And I know how much you love me. August the 31st... when every day I've been activated, you did Vanessa did a check-in after module 2 video. And I knew it was coming. I knew this was going to happen. You changed topics and moved into appreciation for the Melissas. And you went from a generic, these people and these topics, to mentioning each person in turn. And I knew you weren't going to mention me. I knew it with certainty. You mentioned everybody, all of the other Melissas but me. Please remember what I said at the beginning of this, okay? None of that. Thank you very much. I was straight back to 2001 when I've gone on a big trip to Africa, to go to a friend's wedding, male friend from school. Most of my friends were Asian. I was the ethnic minority at my school in London. Loads of my school friends came. It was because we had a safari after they went on honeymoon, after the whole wedding was over, but it was an Indian wedding, which is days and days and days of different events. And then in the more westernized reception, he mentions individuals thanking, first just opened up to generic, thanking everybody from like school friends for spending that money and coming all that way to celebrate, you know, and how much it mattered to him. And then he went one by one, you know what's coming, mentioning every single person. I suspect, because of nerves on his speech, that he was going around the room on the table. It was a big square table filling this room, and he was probably going around it to make sure he got everybody. I had come down into a gap and was recording with my camcorder, so he wouldn't have had that visual prompt. I'm exhausted by this point. I've had food poisoning as well and drained, and so I'm tearing up straight away because he completes the speech and I've not had a mention, and it would just played to the chips on my shoulder. I hasten to add that when this happened, I knew it was going to happen beforehand. And as I said to you, I'm not seeing these things as, I didn't label them in my head triggering. I could see that this was being done for me and not to me. So each thing that still lives within my energy body, my physical body, was being activated. And I use that non-emotive term because it was just being enlivened so that I could be really awake to it, that this is, I'm still carrying this around with me. And I can then choose, do you want to keep carrying it around for another 20 years? Or perhaps you'd like to change the script. So thank you for being part of many, many, many people and circumstances and situations that activated various things inside of me for August. August was intense, and it was between 1 and 4 separate things every day, and it was hard. And there were other things in my personal life and family life that just compounded it, and there was a day I was close to, you know, breaking and couldn't take any more of the pressure. And that's carried on in September, but it's definitely calmed right down. We're not talking every day. That perspective that I have on it is just, it's quite serene. It's a bit like standing back and watching it happen. I'm not so emotionally entangled. A victimhood thing isn't happening, which clearly I was very, very wedded to when younger. I've never seen myself as powerless. I've always had this, the life coach in me has always been there. I've watched my family and other people choose to think they have very little control over how they feel and how they experience the world. But I also think it suits them to hold that belief. I've got 4 minutes left of the time I gave myself already. But I always knew, I knew inside me that we have far more power over our experience than we might like to think. And was getting a sort of victim-y conditioning. So I'm countering, that's what's happening at the moment. This change is deep. I've got to quickly talk about seasons and elements and things. Okay. I haven't got time to mention everything. So what I will say is balance was a theme for me that began in module 1 with, do you remember magpie feathers, black and white? And when I looked it up, it was all about sort of the light and the dark and the shadow and so on. Interestingly, this makes me think that I've been having conversations with my business bestie about how light workers, most of our work seems to be shadow work. At least that's what's happening. We're doing the work. We're very aware of that. I'm not seeing, it can sometimes feel hard or heavy or not heavy, hard or draining, or like it's taking a lot of energy, but it doesn't feel heavy. What I was going to say is it does not feel like it's slowing me up, like it's weighing me down. It's the opposite. I'm gradually extricating myself from these threads that I now that I've said it, I feel like that's an extension of that visualization that I got of the coming back to myself and reintegrating and releasing the stuff that isn't mine in module 1 as well. So that's what I'm saying about the interplay of it all. And balance has come up, and equals, balance and half seems to be coming up for me again lately. I've had a lot of 2 months running. I've opened up my moon app. I don't normally do that until close to the new moon and the full moons. I choose to be aware of them since before, I think it was before Priestess, because of choosing to do my Patreon, various Patreon events on or as close to the new moons and full moons as I can. So normally I only look, around about the time it might be coming up or what have you. 2 months running, I opened my moon app and I can't tell you why, and the moon was at 50%. Like you couldn't have got a 0.001% closer type of thing. And in fact, I think the day that I did that in September, I did a walk with Dylan in the woods, and it was the day I was noticing summer and autumn and the signs of the winter to come in a very half and half way. So it was an incredibly warm day. Down south, you get more of them. One of the warmest days they'd had down here, and golden and orange and red leaves on the ground. And it was just like they sat side by side. It was the half and half thing. And I correlated it with this moon that was slightly half. And I was just, and I think because I hadn't been live to that Vanessa's seasonal, and I hadn't been live at that one. The one with the spiral guided journey. That all of that was within 2 days of one another, and I was just seeing this. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't got words for what it means, but I'm just very aware. And it could be light and dark. It could be the half and half. It could be the transition of seasons. Maybe me handling them better from now on, because while I can speak of all of the things that I love about autumn, and I can relate to people who love this time of year and see it as a new year and all that kind of thing. And I have this time of year can be quite good for me. There's the demon, there's the depression hovering that is like, oh my gosh, winter, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this year? And so I think that's good. I think I've been more aware of it, so it's felt a little more scary just because everything is getting very conscious right now. Loving the permission as always. Shoot, my timer's up. Loving the permission giving in terms of working with what's working with what's happening in your yard, what's happening, we call them gardens, what's happening in your world, and of course, because I move around the UK, there's differences even there. And so I'm acutely aware of this, and my body can get a bit confused when I transition from north to south. And it will happen again when I come back around the 20th, 21st of October. I'll be going from the south to North Yorkshire. And it's going to be like going from early autumn into deep winter. It's just, there's always a big difference in temperatures and harshness. And it's, you know, snow rarely settles down here and that kind of thing. There's so many things I wanted to say. So many things. At the same time, during my toughest week, during all the activations, I got a beautiful, you've seen, I think, and if you haven't yet, I did post it in the group, but if you haven't yet, you will see in the Power Page session, my Adorn Yourself card, which reminded me of the big painting that I won a print of on an Instagram contest. And that I won, which lifted me up that week. It didn't arrive till a week or two later that was when I was having my very, very hard time. And there it was in front of me, her eyes just, oh, so powerful. And I could, and there were some other things as well that I've now forgotten, but that all reminded me, I live in magic when I want to. If I choose to, I can live in magic. Whatever other people's reality chooses to be, and however you may want to describe your life, you can choose to feel a heck of a lot better about it. And for me, I knew I was going to win that contest. I knew it was going to be the first prize as well. I knew it would be the big version of that particular print. There were 3 prizes, and it happened. And it was just what I needed to not go down the gurgler. I think there have been grey days that immensely, you know, affects my mood. So loving the permission giving on working with seasons. I'm mapping my moons a lot more. I won't say every day of the week, but a lot more. And I'm spotting patterns, which then when I combine it with my hormonal cycle, I get a bit more clarity. And I think it's very helpful in terms of planning for my business. Nature has been a big feature. More in the pause. It will turn up in my Power Page session if you don't mind me using what is I did a bit too long really for, you know, the length of session. But a bug turned up. Nature was wanting to be in it. I've definitely been feeling nature's call. 2 days ago when I was walking through the woods with Dylan, I was telling I love you to loads of individual trees and then doing a sweep of patches of trees and then telling a load of individuals again. I'm remembering the younger me that had a very connected relationship with nature. The day I thought my phone was dead was I just didn't bring it with me. I was aware of not feeling as safe because I didn't have the phone on me as a woman on her own. And my senses were heightened. It was the first day I think it was the first, 2 days running, I let Dylan off the lead, and I think this was the first day. I just concentrated on my power. No, it wasn't. It was the second day. I filmed myself on the first one. And that was a walk with me Wednesday, and it was an incredible spiritual, profound walk, and that was because I had no tech on me, or at least it was because I wasn't choosing to be distracted by taking photos and anything else or filming for anybody else. I was so present. So I think that is increasing with this season work, cycles work that we've been doing, environment, plant, you know, the reciprocal relationship thing, not just taking from nature. I'm really embracing that, embracing old me, or rather young me, that was once very in tune with nature, and then bringing all of this experience and new knowledge into the mix to I feel like that's going to go somewhere. I feel like there was a time where art came into my life coaching world and readings, and that became much more linked rather than, oh, my hobby on the side. Became much more, creativity became an important part of it. I feel like nature's doing that now. That nature's coming back, I won't say coming in new, but coming back in to my world, and it will, I feel it will seep into everything, and it will be my readings, and it will be my coaching and my energy work and and the creativity and so on. And that began with my power page. Ah! So I'm going to have to leave it there because I've run over. And I feel like module 3, I'm slightly intimidated by it because I feel like I have a lot of power that I've always been aware of, that's always scared the out of me, because it's been a contrast to what my upbringing taught me, surrounded me with. So it's been very confusing. But that's been my adult life, I feel. Has been from teenagehood onwards, is how I get okay with this immense power that I can choose to tap into when I like. And I think all of this activation work and choosing what I let go of and what I'd like to reframe and rescript and so on is about seeing myself with new eyes and owning me being me still being Ange, who is in her own power, speaks her truth, is confident, self-assured. What does that even look like? Oh my goodness, if I actually channeled this in like all areas of my life, what's gonna happen? That's where I feel I'm at. Exciting. I ain't backing down, not this time. I'm not jumping back in my box. And so that's probably why it's rather intimidating. So how apt that I kick off the module. So I can't wait for my check-in at the end of module 3. And as I say, I'm going to try this little video diary thing and we'll see how that goes and whether you like it. Whether it's probably going to be too hard for me to like keep it short as per usual. Can't be any worse than we've already done. Look, okay, I'm at 20. It'll be 22 minutes by the time I finish talking. Thank you for all that you do. Love you both loads. Mwah!